This is a true story, inspired by the real events involving Naya Rivera. The Last Swim. Part 1. A Perfect Wednesday. The California sun blazed mercilessly overhead as Wednesday, July 8th, 2020, dawned with the kind of crystalline clarity that made everything seem possible. In her Valencia home, Naya Rivera moved through her morning routine with the practiced efficiency of a mother who had learned to balance career, parenthood, and the complexities of life in the spotlight. At 33, the former Glee star had weathered storms that would have broken lesser spirits: divorce, custody battles, career transitions. Yet she faced each day with the fierce determination that had carried her from child actress to television icon. Her 4-year-old son, Josie, bounded through the house with the infectious energy that only children possess, his laughter echoing off the walls as he played with his toys. The bond between mother and son was unmistakable. Those who knew them described it as profound, protective, almost telepathic in its intensity. Naya had fought hard for precious time with Josie, and she treasured every moment they shared together. The decision to visit Lake Piru seemed spontaneous, born from that particular restlessness that comes with summer heat and a child's boundless energy. At 1 p.m., actress Naya Rivera rented a flat-bottomed pontoon boat and, along with her 4-year-old son, headed toward the north shore of Lake Piru for a planned 3-hour excursion. The lake, nestled in the rolling hills of Ventura County, about an hour's drive from Los Angeles, offered the promise of cool water and escape from the intensity of city life. Lake Piru stretched before them like a mirror, its surface disturbed only by the occasional ripple of wind. The man-made reservoir, created in the 1950s as part of California's water management system, had become a popular recreational destination despite its reputation among locals. According to the Los Angeles Times, 7 people died in Lake Piru between 1994 and 2000, and court filings stated that a couple dozen had died since 1959. But on this particular Wednesday afternoon, such dark statistics seemed impossibly distant from the joy of a mother planning to spend quality time with her son. The boat rental process was routine, unremarkable. Staff at the lake's concession stand watched as Rivera, dressed casually and carrying the various supplies needed for an afternoon on the water, helped Josie aboard their rented pontoon boat. Security cameras captured these final moments of normalcy: a mother and child embarking on what should have been a simple pleasure trip. The footage would later become crucial evidence, showing only 2 people boarding the vessel that would return with just one. As their boat pulled away from the dock, heading toward the northern shores of the lake, Naya felt the familiar peace that came with being on the water. She was, by all accounts, a confident swimmer who had grown up in Southern California's beach culture. The afternoons stretched ahead of them, full of possibilities for swimming, talking, and creating the kind of memories that sustain both mother and child through life's inevitable challenges. The lake was less popular on weekdays, which meant they would likely have relative privacy for their aquatic adventure. Other boats dotted the water at comfortable distances, their occupants similarly seeking refuge from the heat and stress of daily life. The sun climbed higher, the temperature soared, and the cool promise of Lake Piru's waters beckoned irresistibly. What happened next would transform this ordinary family outing into a tragedy that would capture international attention and break the hearts of millions who had followed Rivera's journey from young performer to beloved television star to devoted mother. But in these final hours of normalcy, as mother and son navigated toward their chosen swimming spot, the future remained unwritten, full of the simple joy of being together on a beautiful summer day. The pontoon boat moved steadily across the water, carrying its precious cargo toward a destiny that no one could have imagined when the day began with such promise and hope. Part 2, when everything changed. The afternoon sun reached its peak as Naya and Josie found their perfect spot along Lake Piru's northern shore. The water here was inviting, deceptively calm, with the kind of crystalline surface that concealed the complex currents and underwater obstacles that had claimed lives before. Mother and son prepared for their swim with the casual confidence of experienced water enthusiasts, unaware that they were entering waters with a deadly history. According to her autopsy report, Rivera was considered to be a good swimmer, a skill that had served her well throughout her California childhood and into adulthood. She had no reason to fear the water that stretched before them, no premonition of the danger that lurked beneath Lake Piru's placid surface. The lake's reputation for tragedy was known to locals, but for visitors like Rivera and her son, it appeared as nothing more than a refreshing escape from the brutal summer heat. The moment of entry into the water was captured in heartbreaking detail through later testimony from young Josie. Rivera and son counted 1, 2, 3, and jumped in lake together, a playful ritual that countless parents and children had performed in swimming pools, lakes, and oceans around the world. It was supposed to be a moment of shared joy, the kind of memory that would bring smiles for years to come. But Lake Piru had other plans. The man-made reservoir created by damming Piru Creek possessed characteristics that made it particularly treacherous for swimmers. Strong undercurrents, sudden depth changes, and underwater debris created a perfect storm of hazardous conditions. The lake's temperature varied dramatically between surface and depth, causing thermal layers that could disorient even experienced swimmers. What began as a joyful shared experience quickly transformed into every parent's worst nightmare. Somewhere in those crucial moments after they entered the water together, Rivera realized that they were in serious trouble. The lake's currents, invisible from the surface, had taken hold of both mother and child with a force that defied human strength. In that instant of recognition, Rivera made the choice that would define her final moments. She would save her son, whatever the cost to herself. The struggle in the water was brief, but desperate. Rivera, fighting against currents that seemed determined to claim them both, managed to summon the strength to push Josie toward their boat. Before she yelled help and drowned, she had accomplished the impossible, getting her 4-year-old son to safety, while the lake's treacherous waters pulled her away from the boat and toward the depths. Josie, traumatized and exhausted, somehow managed to climb aboard their rented pontoon boat. Alone now, the 4-year-old was left to process an experience that would have challenged adult comprehension. His mother, the person who represented safety and protection in his young world, had disappeared beneath the surface of Lake Piru, leaving him adrift in more ways than one. The afternoon hours passed with agonizing slowness. After the pair did not return as scheduled at 4:30 p.m., a boat rental shop employee went out on the lake to investigate the overdue rental. What they found would haunt everyone involved: a small child, alone and sleeping on a pontoon boat, with no sign of his mother anywhere. Ventura County Sheriff's deputies found the 4-year-old boy on the boat shortly before 5 p.m. on Lake Piru, but Naya was not there. The discovery triggered an immediate emergency response as law enforcement, paramedics, and search teams converged on the scene. Josie, disoriented and traumatized, was able to provide crucial information to the deputies who found him. Law enforcement sources revealed that her son, Josie Hollis Dorsey, told deputies his mom had jumped in the water but didn't come back up. These words, spoken by a 4-year-old who had witnessed something no child should ever see, would launch one of the most intensive search operations in the region's history. As news of Rivera's disappearance began to spread, the peaceful lake transformed into a scene of frantic activity. Boats filled with search personnel crisscrossed the water, while helicopters circled overhead and divers prepared for what everyone hoped would be a rescue mission, but feared might become a recovery operation. The sun began its descent toward the horizon, casting long shadows across Lake Piru's surface. Somewhere beneath those deceptively calm waters, Naya Rivera lay beyond the reach of human help, having made the ultimate sacrifice to ensure her son's survival. The lake that had promised relief from summer heat had instead become the site of unspeakable tragedy, forever changing the lives of everyone touched by this devastating loss. Part 3: The Search and the Reckoning. As darkness fell over Lake Piru on the evening of July 8th, the initial search operation faced the harsh reality of working against time and nature. The investigation was put on hold on the evening of July 8, 2020, and resumed at first light on the morning of July 9, 2020. The decision to suspend the search overnight was pragmatic, but heartbreaking. The dangerous conditions that had claimed Rivera's life made night operations too risky for the rescue teams. The next morning brought media attention that transformed the quiet recreational lake into the center of a global news story. Reporters, photographers, and television crews descended upon the scene, their presence a stark reminder that this was no ordinary missing person case. Rivera's fame from Glee had made her disappearance international news, but for the search teams, she was simply another life they were desperately trying to save or recover. The search operation was massive in scope and heartbreaking in its intensity. Multiple agencies coordinated their efforts. The Ventura County Sheriff's Office, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and specialized dive teams all contributed personnel and equipment. Boats equipped with sonar technology methodically scanned the lake bottom, while divers plunged into the murky depths, searching areas where currents might have carried a drowning victim. Lake Piru's geography made the search particularly challenging. The reservoir's irregular shape, created by flooding a natural valley, meant numerous underwater obstacles, submerged trees, and debris fields that could trap or conceal a body. The lake's maximum depth of nearly 130 feet in some areas created additional complications, requiring specialized diving equipment and expertise. As hours turned into days, hope began to fade among those who knew Rivera personally. Rivera was formally presumed dead the next day, as authorities acknowledged the grim reality that survival in Lake Piru's conditions for an extended period was virtually impossible. The focus shifted from rescue to recovery, a subtle but profound change that acknowledged what everyone feared but few wanted to voice. The emotional toll on Rivera's family, friends, and colleagues was immense. Social media filled with tributes, memories, and prayers from castmates, fans, and fellow performers who had known Rivera throughout her career. The Glee family, already marked by previous tragedies, found themselves grieving yet another loss from their tight-knit community. The search lasted until the morning of July 13, 2020, when her body was recovered, and she was pronounced dead from drowning at the age of 33. After 5 agonizing days, the search teams had finally located Rivera in the northeastern portion of the lake, in an area consistent with where witnesses reported seeing someone in distress. A body has been found at Lake Piru this morning, the Ventura County Sheriff's Office tweeted on Monday. The clinical language of official communications could not adequately convey the mixture of relief and heartbreak that accompanied the discovery. For Rivera's family, there was finally closure, but it came at the price of confirming their worst fears. The investigation that followed painted a picture of a tragic accident that unfolded with devastating swiftness. Rivera had no known history of suicidal ideation or attempt. The actress was also considered to be a good swimmer, the autopsy report states. Her cause of death remains a drowning, and the manner of death was ruled as an accident. There was no mystery, no conspiracy, simply a mother and son who encountered conditions that proved too dangerous for even an experienced swimmer to overcome. The aftermath of Rivera's death sparked important conversations about water safety and the hidden dangers of recreational lakes. After Naya Rivera's death, Lake Piru permanently banned swimming, as the actress wasn't the first person to drown in its deceivingly serene waters. Inside this decision, while too late to save Rivera, might prevent future tragedies in waters that had claimed too many lives over the decades. Legal proceedings followed as Rivera's family sought accountability for what they viewed as inadequate safety measures. In November of that year, a wrongful death lawsuit was filed against Ventura County, alleging that proper safety equipment and warnings might have prevented the tragedy. The case was eventually settled, though no amount of money could restore what was lost. The most profound legacy of Rivera's death was the life she saved through her final act of heroism. Josie survived because his mother used her last moments to ensure his safety, pushing him toward the boat even as she was pulled away by the unforgiving currents. In losing her life, Rivera demonstrated the fierce protective love that defines motherhood at its most essential level. Today, fans continue to honor Rivera's memory at vigils and memorials, remembering not just the talented performer who brought Santana Lopez to life on television, but the devoted mother who gave everything to save her son. Lake Piru remains a place of both natural beauty and profound tragedy, its waters forever marked by the story of a woman who chose love over self-preservation in her final moments. The ripples of that choice continue to spread, touching lives around the world, and serving as a reminder that heroism is often measured not in grand gestures, but in the quiet courage of a parent's ultimate sacrifice.